Welcome to the Hearts Entwined podcast. In this podcast, we'll be having discussions around the secrets which attract lasting, healthy, fulfilling relationships, creating a healthy mindset, and what women should know and understand about men. Introducing your host, Lyn Smith, the Queen of Hearts, relationship expert, trainer, speaker, and best-selling author of the Cupid's Bow technique. Lyn's mission is to have a positive impact in reducing divorce, domestic violence, and suicide.
Welcome to the Hearts Entwined podcast. This is your host, Lyn Smith, the Queen of Hearts. And today, listeners, I've got a fabulous lady. Her name is Lilli Bewley. She's a dating coach for finding love, which is what we always love to know more about. But in particular, we're going to be talking about feminine dating archetypes today. So I've always fascinated around this subject. So a warm welcome to you, Lilli.
Thank you. Thank you, Lyn. I'm so excited to have this conversation with you today.
Me too. You know, I think a lot of us women are really fascinated around any sort of these types of subjects, aren't we? We're fascinated with archetypes, fascinated with astrology. Quite a lot of the time we're fascinated with zodiacs, and sometimes we're fascinated with tarot card readings. But I really love this particular subject a lot more than any of those. And to talk about dating archetypes is really exciting for me. So just tell the listeners a little bit about yourself to start with, Lilli, and how you got into studying this.
Yeah, well, thank you. Yeah, I agree. All of that. I agree. I think it helps me when I find these things, helps me feel less alone through the stuff that I go through in life, and specifically with dating. So, we can talk a little bit more about how these came about. For sure. I have a quiz online that anyone listening out there can go and take a quiz and find out what their archetype is. But a little bit about me, I came into this work basically through the journey and the path that I went through. I always like to say that I was born with a big heart, a big, big heart, right? And throughout my dating process, or throughout, relationships throughout my life, and my love stories, I guess you could say, what I started to see was this pattern of inviting people into my big heart that shouldn't be there. And this was a pattern that, again, like I didn't really understand, especially after a while when I got into, my 30s, when I started to be really successful in other areas of my life, like work, specifically about work, maybe good friendships as well. And I started to have success in all these other areas, but then I just couldn't get the love thing right. I just couldn't do it. Again, I started to see these patterns of people that really I shouldn't have spent time with. I started to see these behaviors and actions for myself that I knew in my head was wrong for me, but I still could not seem to kind of quote unquote break that pattern. And then what I learned is that I really didn't learn from my parents or from society or whatever to determine who was good for me and who was not. Because I had such a great big open heart, everyone was welcome into my house, which should never be the case, right? I just never learned these skills. And it's really a skill, is what I've come to find out through years and years of doing this work and teaching other women the things that I've learned. It's really a skill as to, people talk about boundaries. It's about boundaries. It's about energy. It's about how you project yourself, what you say, how you say it. And it's not, what I've learned, it's not a book that you can read, or it's not a podcast that you can listen to. Although I'm grateful that whoever's listening is listening to this, this 30 or 40 minutes of this conversation really isn't going to help you to have a better dating life. But it's really about the stuff inside that's going on, about why you're letting these people in your life, why you're spending time with them, why you're giving them energy or money or whatever it is, all about the outsource. And then what I like to do is I like to take an inside out approach. So look inside, heal the things that we need to heal inside, so that we can have a better dating life, find true love, and love the dating process in general. Because a lot of people say, I don't know if you have friends that are dating, Lyn, or if you're dating, a lot of people are like, dating sucks. My personal thing about dating, because I personally have been through this process, is it's not that dating sucks, it's that your experience with dating sucks. So it's how to change your experience. So that is what I work on.
Love it. And I think you're absolutely right. There's loads of people who are single out there looking for love, who actually, especially in today's society, where I suppose you've got that wave of people that are probably in their 40s, 50s, 60s, that have done maybe one or two long-term relationships, who now have a different dating experience entirely, in our modern society these days, to what we did initially when we was in our sort of like teens and 20s all those years ago. So thank you.
Yeah. And not wanting to repeat those patterns of the past. It could be, one of my archetypes is called the fortress woman. And the fortress woman, I was a fortress woman for years. And the fortress woman closes up her heart. She blocks her heart out of protection, and it makes a lot of sense. And the fortress woman is really, really scared. There's a lot of fear there about repeating the patterns of the past, whether that be, it could have been really major traumas, really major abuse, or really small things that she compromised on, that she just really doesn't want to do again.
How many actual feminine dating archetypes are there?
I have four archetypes. Yeah.
Okay, so tell us a little bit more about how that showed up for you, and what you did to change it then around the fortress woman.
The fortress woman. The fortress woman. Well, I'll lay a little groundwork before I guess we get into this. The whole premise of the feminine dating archetypes came about through my development in my life, my personal development, and my experiences through dating, finding epic love, attracting that amazing special partnership in, and then going through hundreds of hours of coaching with coaching clients and seeing a pattern in dating. So what I started to see is this very interesting pattern of how we react, what our behaviors are, what our thoughts are during the dating process. And then with my studies and with my mentors and all of those things, I started to look into, I'm sure you've heard of attachment styles. There's a lot, there's, I started to see interweavings of what we were experiencing dating, attachment styles, and a couple, 3 or 4 different other modalities that I've studied. And I started to say, oh my gosh. And I think God, the universe, creator, kind of spoke through me and started to help me see very clearly about these pieces that no one really ever talks about. If you go to your friends and you talk about dating, it's one of two things. It's like, that person sucks, you should leave them. Or they try to give you well-meaning friends and family try to give you advice. And if you're not really like in your power, and if you're not really sovereign, and this is me, like I raised my hand to this from the past, if you're not really in your power and you're sovereign, what happens is you start to make decisions and your thoughts start to kind of stray about like who you are, what you want to express, what are your values, what are, what's really important to you. And it's so much more, a lot of the teachings today are like, it's so much more than just write a letter to your soulmate and that person will come to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's so much more than write out the qualities that you want in a partner. I can say that the partner I have right now check some of those partners or those qualities, but then other things, the things that I thought that I knew, I had no idea. Right. Mm-hmm. So the idea with the feminine dating archetypes really is to help women feel that like they're not alone in the process, and that this is actually, for me, this is an order that I went through, and we'll talk about the archetypes, but this is the order that I went through to get to the magnetic woman, which is what I strive to be in my life, not only dating and love, but like business and everything, like I walk into a store and I feel that people are attracted to me, I feel that magnetism. The magnetic woman is something that I strive to be and my clients strive to be. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say exactly the same. I feel I'm in that energy now, where I am that magnetic woman, not just in my sort of personal dating and relationship life, but literally with, like you say, life in general. People just want to do things for me, and I'm happy to receive.
Yes, yes. And, I don't know what it took you to get there, but for me, it took me a lot of internal work and a lot of internal healing to kind of open up that space in myself to receive, to realize that I was worthy. I was already enough. For me, the magnetic woman is this, it's an energy. It's just this beautiful, open, very strong, independent-ish energy that I kind of get the idea, if you're at a party, right, and everyone's mingling and talking and things like that, and someone like a woman walks into the room, and the energy is kind of just sucked her way, and it's not because she's forcing it, it's not because of the way she looks, it's the way that she holds herself. Her shoulders are up high, her neck is long. When she talks, it's not the words so much, but it's the energy behind the words that really conveys her sense of strength, sovereignty. And that's the kind of thing that can really happen. I want to tell you one of my favorite stories about this before I get into the archetypes, because this blew me away when this happened to me. After doing this work for years and knowing what was possible, my current partner, so he doesn't really know a lot about, he knows what I do, but he's not really into it. He doesn't know about all the archetypes and everything like that. But one day we went to Trader Joe's, and Trader Joe's is this cute little shop, grocery shop here in the States. It's a chain. And we went to Trader Joe's, and I was just doing my thing, shopping, doing my thing. And we were there for 10 or 15 minutes. During that time, he was looking at something else. I was looking at something else in a different aisle. But during that time, 3 or 4 different people came up to me and was like, "Oh, I love your nails," or, "Oh, I love your hair," or, "Oh, you just look so radiant today." And the thing that I will never forget about that experience was that he was just watching me and watching this happen. And after we were checking out, walking out the door, and he comes up behind me, he's really tall. He comes up behind me and leans down and whispers in my ear, "You are a magnet." And I think the thing that was most, you are a magnet, from a man, when men mostly had been unsafe for me, or I had been trying to perform for them, or get validation and affirmation from men for years, decades. This was a huge, huge moment for me, because I realized that all of the work that I had done coming up to that point was seen by not only the person that I wanted to see, but I wasn't really trying really hard, because I was being a magnet, right? He saw me at who I was at my core. So I melted. So after I melted, I had to pick myself up off the ground. But that is an experience that every woman is that's our birthright, really. And I want every woman to experience that type of recognition from a safe man, from a safe person, really, to see who they are at their core.
It's magical. I love what you're saying. So, yeah, tell us more.
So, okay, so I laid thank you, Lyn. I laid the groundwork for the feminine archetypes, where they came from, right? So instead of thinking about as we go through this, but instead of, if someone's listening and they're dating, I would love for you to think about not what you're doing wrong, but what you're doing right. Maybe where you identify maybe with some of these archetypes, and things that you can not shame yourself or blame yourself on what's going wrong, but just put a little piece of a little sticker of awareness on it, right? Because the reason I tell that story is because I want you to know anything is possible. The love that we want is possible. We just have to do the inner work to get there. And a lot of these are about, not just about what we should do in dating, because there's a lot of people out there, people like me, that will try to tell you tips, tricks, and even friends and family, tips, tricks, strategies, and hacks, to get that person, or to put on your dating profile. And there's no, in my opinion, there's no trick, strategy, or hack to get the love that you want. It's really about what's happening on the inside, about changing our thoughts, changing our behaviors, changing our beliefs and our actions. So I'll start with it. Go ahead, Lyn.
Yeah, I was going to say absolutely 100% agree with that. It is literally about doing that inner work, like you say, to exude your true best, highest self.
Yeah, highest self. Absolutely. Exactly what I say too. So I mean, do you want me to just kind of go through them? Would that
Yes,
be helpful?
absolutely.
Okay, cool. So the chill woman is the first archetype, the feminine dating archetype. The chill woman is familiar with overwhelming anxiety when she's dating. This tends to flare up, the overwhelming anxiety, within like 24, 48, 72 hours after not hearing from the other person. So if like you're on the apps, for example, and you have like I know this happens, y'all. So I see you and I love you. You're on the apps and you have, say, like you're having a really great conversation. It goes really late into the night. It's fun. You're laughing. You have all the juices flowing. And then you wake up the next morning and you don't hear from him for 24 or 72 hours or 48 hours. And there's a lot of overwhelming anxiety. There are thoughts that could be in there. What did I do wrong? Should I text him? Should I not? There's this whole thing that happens in our brains because of that. And I'm with you. I see you, chill woman. So the chill woman also kind of tends to get ghosted a lot, and she doesn't really understand why. And a lot of that blame she can put on herself. Sometimes the chill woman tends to have sex pretty quickly after meeting the person, even if she promises herself she won't, or if she promises herself that she can handle it. Sex is one of those things that are really, really sticky in dating, especially with all the hormonal things that happen with women. Look it up. I'm not like a biologist by any means, but the hormones that are released are actually bonding hormones. And so it's not really that you're crazy. It's really that your primal hormones are coming out to bond. So sex is, if anyone ever looks at my stuff or goes through my programs, you'll see that I have a pretty hard line on no sex because it helps you have a clearer head. And I know people don't like that, and that's okay. What I'm doing, my role really is try to get you to find love. So go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say that I advocate the same thing, and it really goes back to, hold yourself to a standard where you want the man to, I suppose, earn that privilege. And, the days of courting, really did sort the wheat from the chaff in terms of who were the good guys and who weren't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And and I will say it's harder than it sounds. I mean, and I want to just really just gently not place any blame or shame to someone that's listening to this and is mad at herself for doing, for having sex. I get it. Like,
yeah,
I put a post out there a couple, I put it out there every now and again, but I slept with 2 men in one day, all because I needed, like, what I call is my love tank. My love tank had holes in it. So it was an exhaustive process of finding validation, finding worth in other people. So for me, like, I completely understand it's harder than it sounds, and I love you. And there is a way for us to gently go through the dating process and stay in our worth, for sure.
Absolutely. And, I put my hand up and, I absolutely did similar. I went through a promiscuous phase in my late teens, early 20s, and totally look back and think, that was a cry for help because I thought that by giving sex, I was going to get and receive love, which obviously didn't happen.
Yeah. Yeah. And we think, a lot of times we think we can handle it. But most of the time it's either we're shutting off all of our emotions, which is, in my opinion, pretty disastrous. Because, a lot of women complain about vulnerability. They want their partner to be vulnerable, but we have to be vulnerable within ourselves first, in order to have that juicy, emotional connection, that juicy love bond that we all want. Right. So it's tricky. It can get tricky.
And I think, in the context of relationships, women tend to lead the way in terms of that emotional safety, don't they? Because that's the area that we're experts in. So to be able to show that vulnerability, as long as you feel safe within that relationship, obviously, and from a place of confidence and love, not from fear and intimidation, is wonderful for a guy to see, and helps him to feel safe and secure and to be just as vulnerable back.
Exactly. Yeah. Through time, it's a beautiful process. It really is. It's gorgeous. Um, with the chill woman also, so the reason she's called the chill woman is she attracts men, quote unquote, attracts men who just want to hang out and chill. And she normally, and this is really, really out there and pervasive in the dating world right now. And she says yes. She says yes because she really craves connection. So, the whole Netflix and chill thing, that's where the chill woman came from. In the past, the chill woman has complained in past relationships of not being seen or heard. A lot of times that's because she's not really seeing and hearing herself, her needs on the inside. And she really wants to know, the chill woman really wants to know that people are going to be there and not leave her. She may have some abandonment things have happened in her life. And so she's really concerned about people not leaving her, which makes sense, based off all the actions and behaviors that we talked about. What do you think of the chill woman?
Yeah, I can identify with the chill woman. I've been that woman, definitely.
Yes, same. Yeah, that was probably my 20s and early 30s. Sure.
Yeah, I can definitely resonate with her. So any other gems you want to share around the chill woman before we move on?
No, we can move on if you'd like, to the fortress woman. So we talked about a little bit about the fortress woman earlier, and the fortress woman has, what I like to say, has a wall like the size of the Great Wall of China around her heart. She's been hurt before pretty badly with love. So the only way to defend her heart really is to not let someone in. The fortress woman, I remember when I was the fortress woman, I even had on my vision board a big house, beautiful, grand mansion on this, on the ocean or whatever, with like 50,000 dogs. And that was me alone, like no partner, because I was so convinced that the world was ugly. There are no good men out there. I'm just going to have to do this on my own. And I say that with love because the fortress woman likely has felt like she's been alone throughout her life, even in her, childhood, even in her past relationships, past marriage. She probably has held a lot of the emotional weight. And so after she finally gets released into the wild, so to speak, gets out of her relationship, there's no other way for her to go about life besides walling up her heart. And I get it. I understand. And I do think that that's part of the healing process for sure. And I think it can be dangerous because it's really blocking you from love, right?
It is. I can identify with that one as well. And I was that woman. I mean, I was with my ex-husband for 23 years, and I was that woman for most of that time in that relationship, and I can relate, because I wanted to be in control because I've been hurt in the past, and that isn't conducive to. We had a happy-ish marriage, don't get me wrong. He was a good father, a good husband. But it was me that was dissatisfied. I didn't understand why.
Yes. And if you're hearing this fortress woman, this may be hard to hear because a lot of times the fortress woman, for good reason, like, you're really strong, you're holding all, like, feels like the weight of the world is on your shoulders when it comes to your relationships or even your life, the people in your life. So I hear you. If the fortress woman is dating, a pattern that I've seen and that I've gone through is that she will find fault with the other person really, really quickly. Very, and I say this with love, but very judgmental. And she's also pretty critical and sometimes pretty critical of her friends that are dating. She's probably likely the one that feels that wants to protect her friends, which is amazing. Like, protecting your friends is amazing. I remember also when I was the fortress woman, I was dating, like, one grammatical error and I deleted them from the app.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a shame, isn't it? Because there's lots of dyslexic people out there that are super intelligent and have great jobs and, have been successful in their lives.
Yeah. And, like I wasn't, a lot of what I talk about is about the dating nervous system is what I call it. So I just wasn't regulated in my nervous system enough to let people show me who they really are. Right. Like, and is it really, obviously, everyone's going to have their own standards. And I know that I was just really quick to judge, really quick to shut things off, really quick to shut things down. Because as a fortress woman, like I had a hard time trusting other people. The only person I could trust was myself. And there is a part of, I think that there's a part of the fortress woman that doesn't want to be alone, but there's a stronger part of her that just doesn't want to feel pain, that really just wants to shut off from the pain.
Yeah. Yeah. Can absolutely identify and resonate with that one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes. So that was a fortress woman. The goddess woman is, I work mostly with goddess woman. And goddess woman was the last kind of step to magnetic woman. The goddess woman is confused by love. The goddess woman typically is in that kind of successful woman area. She's done a lot of great work in her life. She maybe, has a coaching business or a purposeful business, or she's an executive, or there's a lot of success that has followed her from kind of an outside perspective, meaning that, maybe she's, I don't know, done well in school, or she's, does well in the boardroom. But then again, that one little piece, her health is probably really good or getting better, or something that she's working on. But the one piece that she just cannot figure out by herself is the love piece. So she's super confused because she knows what she needs to do, but she just can't do it. And so that's the break for her. Again, she's really, really into personal growth work and personal fulfillment. She's done at least, 6 months of work on herself. What's interesting about the goddess woman, and I say this with love because I've been there before, I can talk about it, but her outward perception, like her Instagram or her Facebook, is different than how she feels on the inside. So there's a disconnect between what she's portraying outside in her life and what's really happening on the inside, especially with dating and love, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I can relate, definitely. I think there's that sort of feeling like a fraud to some extent. So you feel the need to put on a mask to show the world rather than being who you are. Yeah,
imposter syndrome, really big with this one. So the goddess thinks that she wants to be in the dating world, but there's this kind of internal, I'm really into it and then I'm not. I'm really into it and then I'm not. It's like this delete and download cycle on the apps, which actually happens for all of them. But for the goddess woman, it's like she's really into perfection and control. So, makes sense based off of what she's been through, because the goddess woman has been through a lot, and she's done a lot of healing through that as well. What tends to happen, I think, the reason I work mostly with the goddess woman is because I do deeper level work, and the deep level work we just can't get to on our own. So this push pull energy she doesn't understand. Deep down, the goddess woman knows that she's worthy of being coveted and chased, but it's almost like the vulnerability is too hard. The vulnerability for her is too hard. She's whether she would notice it or not, she's big on perfection for herself. Like she's really, really hard on herself as well. She has a need for a conscious relationship, but she also feels like that it can be intimidating to men. She's probably has looked into masculine and feminine dynamics, but still can't figure it out. Again, the whole thing with the goddess is what we know we should be doing. Can we actually do it in real life? And what's the word? Manifest it in real life. She feels, for the most part, maybe a little bit better than the men that she attracts. Maybe they're not at her level. And she tends sometimes to be their coach or their teacher and not their lover. So the big things for the goddess woman to heal are about vulnerability or about perfectionism and control.
Yeah. I can tick all these off that you're relating to them.
Isn't this amazing how I don't know, it's just a beautiful thing. I thank God and the universe for this information, because it really helps people be like, oh, okay, that's me. You're seeing me too much, Lilli.
Yeah, I can totally relate. So the final one, I'm assuming, is what you mentioned before, the magnetic woman.
Yes, you got it. Yeah. So the magnetic woman is, again, the woman that I strive to be. This is not the woman that not the woman that I was walking down the journey and the path to be, based off my past experiences, my past relationships, my past people pleasing, my past codependency, all of the things. Right. So the magnetic woman was this, again, this energy that she knows who she is and what she wants. She knows who she is, what she wants. The difference is that her thoughts, her thoughts and her actions and behaviors all line up. So she's aligned inside herself with everything that she projects. The word that I love about the magnetic woman is discernment. She's discerning, but in a loving way. It's like that energy that we're talking about, this power, this queen-like way that she goes about her life, where she says, no, thank you, I'm good. And people believe her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Took me a few decades to get there, but I feel I'm there now.
Yay. Oh, yes. It's so good, Lyn. So she honors herself. The magnetic woman honors herself by setting to and sticking with dating boundaries. And that's a lot of, that's a little bit deeper level, but that's a lot of like what I get into in my programs is like, what are your boundaries? What are not even non-negotiables, but I call them guidelines, right? Because you're not always going to be 100%. So she sticks with those. She's loving and caring of herself when she messes up. There's a lot of self-compassion that she can draw from. Her worth and her magnetism has moved from her head to her body. So a lot of times the three other archetypes, they're very head focused. There's a lot of things going on in your head, the thoughts, all of the things are really pulling people out of who they are at their core. So everything that she knows, the magnetic woman has moved from her head to her body, right? And she knows, just like you said, Lyn, she knows how to receive love deeply.
Absolutely, because it's from a heart space, like you say, in the body rather than in the head now.
Exactly. You got it. And she asks for what she wants. And whether she gets it or not, either way is okay. The mere act of asking for what she wants makes her a magnet for what she really wants.
Brilliant.
Yes.
Love it. So just before we wrap up then, Lilli, just tell us what your best contact information is for anybody that would like to find out more about this subject.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for having me on. I love talking about this stuff. You're amazing, Lyn. Amazing questions. And I love how we both connected on all the archetypes. Anyone that's listening can go and take the Feminine Dating Archetype quiz at datingarchetype.com. It's a 2-minute quiz. It'll help you reveal your blocks to love and help you find your true love match. And you can find all the other ways to connect with me there as well.
Just leaves me to say that true love starts with opening our hearts. And until next time, goodbye for now.
Thanks for listening to the Hearts Entwined podcast. You can follow Lyn via the Facebook group 2 Hearts Entwined, or search Lyn Smith, inspirational speaker, at LinkedIn, or email lyn@hearts-entwined.com. That's lyn@hearts-entwined.com. Remember, true love starts with opening our hearts.